Susan Gardner here from Municipal World. We're at the 2019 conference for the Municipal Innovators Community. And joining me in the Municipal World Media Center is Jay Reid from The Making Box. Welcome.
Hello. Hi.
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 So, you've been on stage here at Mike 2019, doing some interesting things with this group as the MC, and let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm really happy to be here at Mike 2019. It's been an energetic, amazing week. I've had so many incredible conversations and had the opportunity to connect with so many incredible people, learn about what they're up to in their municipalities across Canada. So just really soaking it all in and enjoying the company of others and the discussions of ideas that are coming about this week. So the reason that I'm here is because I am the co-founder of The Making Box and our Improv for Business director. And so what we do is that we help individuals and organizations accelerate trust, flexibility, and productive collaboration by harnessing the tools of improv and applying them to the workplace. And so we started doing this type of work in 2014, and when we launched our Improv for Business program, we didn't expect that the municipal sector would be a client of ours. However, we've been resourced by many municipalities now, and we've come to discover why they are keen and can benefit on adopting an improv mindset.
An improv mindset. So, tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to improv.
Absolutely. So I started improvising when I was 15, and I was very lucky to be introduced to improv at that age. So there is an organization in Canada called the Canadian Improv Games, and this is a national nonprofit that takes place across Canada, coast to coast. And I think it's actually the best thing ever to happen to high school. There are 100,000 alumni of the Canadian Improv Games, and this includes people like Seth Rogen and Alanis Morissette and Sandra Oh. It also includes 99,000 other amazing people that are using improv for the development of themselves, the way that they communicate with others, and build confidence in themselves to connect with others and discover new things and carve and discover a new path. So I was introduced to improv when I was 15, and it transformed my life, made me a more open, happy, and connected person. And the CIG is essentially a high school improv tournament and training program. So there's 500 or so high schools from across Canada that participate every single year. And much like a rugby team or a basketball team, these groups train together, they practice, and then they play together in front of audiences within their regions and then on a national stage. So the top teams from all over the country come to the National Arts Centre in Ottawa every year and play to thousands of people every night. And these are some of the most dynamic, engaging, clever, wonderful, intelligent people on stage. And so, as I said, I was lucky to be introduced to improv. It transformed my life. And so the Making Box is a realization of wanting to bring that experience to more and more people, whether that's folks that are looking to take an improv class themselves or an organization looking to adopt those tools in the workplace.
So you've taken the delegates here at Mike 2019 through some of these improv exercises.
Yeah.
Why don't you just describe a few of those and
Sure.
what the intent of them is?
Yeah, absolutely. So in working with municipalities, we've discovered a few challenges that they're experiencing right now. And we are starting to use applied improv practices to overcome these challenges. And to start, we might ask ourselves, why would we use improv? And what's really important about improv is understanding that it is helping us improvise more effectively. And whether we like it or not, as human beings, we all have to improvise. There are many things that are rapidly changing. There are conversations that we're not expecting to have. There's almost all communicating that we do is improvised in a sense. So what might happen if we learn to improvise just that much more effectively? So we look at the tools that improvisers use on stage to create delightful scenes, and how we can use these principles and practices to flex the muscles and skills that we want to adopt in the workplace. And so some of those challenges that we have discovered that municipalities are facing are things like, how do we better equip ourselves for responding effectively to rapid change and uncertainty? Well, I think improvisers and improv might have something to say about that. So theatrical improvisation is innovation in real time. Improvisers are getting suggestions from an audience and creating something in that moment. They're listening to each other effectively, they're connecting, they're responding. Everything is new for an improviser. This is a scene that they will do once and never again. It's inspired by their audience, so we're engaging with an audience to co-create something in the moment. So improv practice is sort of like exposure therapy for the change adverse. And it gives us tangible tools that we can allow ourselves the opportunity to build our change management skills, build resiliency, build flexibility. And so that's something that we're often asked to help with within a municipal context. So that's one example of a challenge. Some of the other examples of challenges that we feel like municipalities are facing right now is, how do we build receptivity to a diversity of ideas? There are many reasons that it's easy for us to say no or block or deny, and improvisers use the practice of yes on stage. We accept ideas rather than blocking or denying them. So if one improviser was to jump on stage and say, wow, it's a beautiful day at the lake here and they're paddling, if another improviser steps on and says, no, we're actually in a Walmart right now, why are you doing that? This is going to totally break the illusion and the engagement of the audience, and the improvisers are then arguing over who's hallucinating and who's not, rather than co-creating something together. So we don't know what other people are going to say. We don't know what the suggestions are going to be. So as improvisers, we practice being receptive to a diversity of ideas. And in a municipal context, we aim to build what's called a yes culture, which is where we seek to accept something before we critique it or evaluate it. So it's not critiquing or evaluating, it's suspending that for a bit. And what this allows is for psychological safety within teams to increase. And people are then willing to get on the same side of the table as someone and are willing to allow themselves to hear others' ideas. And this allows us to trust each other more intensely, and ultimately it's where amazing ideas might come about, when we understand that everyone will at least accept our idea, because there's so many wonderful ideas that die between the brain and the mouth, which is to say that we've judged that idea so hard and we will not even say it because we don't have the trust or the psychological safety of this team.
There's a lot of fear about
Absolutely.
Being vulnerable that way, sharing something that you're unsure how it's going to be received.
Yeah. So in order to improvise a scene together, we need to trust our ensemble that we're going to accept each other's ideas. And there's a practice and a mindset that we have in improv, which is making your partner look good. That's our lens on stage. How can I make them look good based on their contributions, knowing that they're going to be doing the same for me? And when we have this understanding, we can do amazing things. We can overcome the fear of getting on stage and trying to improvise for 90 minutes and create something together that is going to engage this audience, something out of nothing. And so when we begin to operate with the mindset of making our partner look good, we have this inherent high trust relationship that's going to be built, and then we're more flexible. Everyone is feels psychologically safe to be who they are at work and share what they feel is important to them.
So if I'm a municipal manager and I contact you and say, hey, Jay, I'd love you to come in and work with me and my team to, improve the way we communicate.
Yeah.
What kind of exercises are you going to take us through?
Yeah, so the way that process would usually start is we take quite a bit of time to learn about your team and your organization. So obviously there are some things that unite municipalities that are similar. There are unique needs of other organizations that might not be the same for others. And so we take a lot of time off the top to get to know what this team is all about. What are our dreams? What's our vision right now? How are we working towards that? And how can we harness applied improv practices to get us there? So you asked for an example of an exercise, and one that we did at the conference that we really like that is all about listening. When we work with a group, being receptive to a diversity of ideas really starts at listening. And so we practice an exercise called first letter, last letter. And how this works is that we would have a conversation, and we're just being ourselves, having a conversation. We're not making up lies or playing characters. However, there's one challenge to this conversation. The challenge is that the last letter of your sentence is going to be the first letter of my response. And then your response, I will use that letter to reply to that. I might have doubled up on that. So let's do an example just to clarify it. So if I said the sentence, it's a beautiful day today, that would end with the letter Y, today. So your response would start with the letter Y. How might you reply to it?
Yes, it's wonderful.
Great. And that ends with the letter L. And I say, lovely to be in Muskoka as it starts to move into fall. The colors are fabulous.
So brilliant with the sun shining on the water.
Perfect. Excellent. Absolutely perfect. So that's how this conversation would continue. And then we debrief on what changes when we're communicating and listening in this way. So research shows that doctors actually interrupt their patients 18 seconds into the description of their symptoms. And we feel like that maybe that phenomenon of interrupting might be happening at City Hall too. And when we think about it from a doctor-patient relationship, the doctor's responsibility is to attune themselves to the needs of others and the task at hand. And in only 18 seconds, they're truncating the information that is going to us. Yeah, exactly, right? We often have this instinct to move to critique or evaluation or solutions immediately rather than being willing to just fully listen. So when we have first letter, last letter, it's impossible for us to start thinking about what we're going to be saying next. And that puts us in a state where we're listening to understand rather than just listening to respond, right? We want to sound clever, we want to sound intelligent, we want to sound ready. However, that prevents us from truly listening to people. And even more so, maybe we're interrupting. So when we play first letter, last letter, it's impossible to interrupt. So we allow ourselves the space to really listen rather than sort of half listening, half waiting for our chance to reply. Staying present and being in the moment is very important on stage for improvisers, to be connected with our scene partner. And flexing this muscle of genuinely responding, and once you fully understand the information, rather than interrupting or interjecting or getting in your own head, can have an amazing impact in a municipal organizational setting as well.
Wow. So we saw some great examples this week here at the conference, and we heard a lot of laughter and so on as well. Is that part of the secret to improv as well?
Well, I think municipalities, from our experience, have also been challenged with how do we have fun along the way? There's a lot of amazing work we're doing. There's a lot of challenging work that we're doing. How can we have fun along the way that is inclusive to a diverse set of personalities? And most people might assume that improv is for the extroverted, silly attention grabbers. However, from our experience, the people that are have an advantage when moving into learning to improvise are actually those that are the best listeners. And that's the bread and butter skill of high quality improvisation. And the beauty of applied improv is that the exercises are moldable, they're very autonomous, and the feedback that we get from municipalities is that they're so surprised about how everyone was so engaged. Everyone was so engaged. We had one municipality mention that they've been with the organization for 21 years, and our workshop with them was the most they'd ever seen their team engaged. And this was multi-organization, multi-level within the organization, fire, city staff, landscape teams, everyone. And this was the most engaged they've seen their team in 21 years through this practice. And so there is space for everyone to engage in improv. And teams are often surprised about what they found within themselves that they never knew they had when they engage in an improv session.
Well, it was wonderful to see it in action here this week at Mike 2019. And thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for
and
playing
chatting about
first
it.
ladder, last ladder
Yeah,
with me.
my pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm Susan Gardner from Municipal World, here with Jay Reid from The Making Box. We share your stories.